Hello guys, thanks for joining us once again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching us from. So, Tinubu is in trouble ahead of the 2027 general election as mass defection hit the All Progressive Congress in Adamawa state. And the message from the grassroots is loud and clear: we can't endure the hunger anymore. On Saturday, the African Democratic Congress (ADC) scored a major political win as hundreds of APC members in Gombe local government area, led by influential former APC figure Ahmed Sani, dumped the ruling party (APC). This is not a small symbolic move. Gombe is a strategic local government area with a strong grassroots network, and the loss cut deep into APC's base in the state. At the heart of this political earthquake is something bigger than party rivalry. It's the raw anger of ordinary Nigerians battling one of the worst economic crises in decades. Many of the defectors did not live quietly. At the ADC's colorful reception rally, where 5,000 bags of rice and maize were distributed along with school material for children, former APC loyalists took the microphone to voice their frustration. We can no longer endure the hunger, joblessness, and suffering under the APC-led government. One man said, "Our families are going to bed without food. This is not the change we were promised." Another former APC supporter added, "For years, we stood by this party because we believe in its promises, but today, the reality is different. People are hungry, businesses are dying, and there's no hope on the horizon. We believe the ADC will put food back on the table and restore dignity to the people." The ADC state chairman, Yohana Shehu, wasted no time in capitalizing on the moment. According to him, with the level of support the ADC is enjoying from Nigerians today, we are confident of taking power in 2027. For the ADC, this wasn't just a recruitment drive, it was a strategic show of strength. They turned the political rally into a relief outreach. Political observers in Adamawa State says this kind of defection wave, especially at the grassroots level, can signal deep trouble for any ruling party. The APC's loss of loyalty in rural local government means more than just fewer votes. It's the loss of the community influencers, world leaders, and political mobilizers who can swing an entire constituency. But beyond Adamawa State, these moments speak of a larger truth. The ruling party's grip is loosening its power, where hunger and hardship has replaced the hope and patience. If the APC leadership fails to read the signs, these defections may be the first crack even before the 2027 general elections. Because the Adamawa defections are not just a local story. They are symptoms of a national political and economic crisis that is pushing more Nigerians to the breaking point. Across the country, frustration with the APC-led federal government is growing, and the reasons are clear: skyrocketing food prices, a collapsing naira, and joblessness that has left millions of young people with no path forward. The pain is not theoretical. Food inflation has turned basic staples into luxuries. A bag of rice now costs more than many families earn in a month. The ADC's decision to distribute 5,000 bags of rice and maize was more than just political theater. It was a direct response to an emergency, and when opposition parties step in to do what the government has failed to do, the political consequences are inevitable. We have seen this pattern before in Nigeria's political history. During the late 1970s, the National Party of Nigeria lost swaths of its grassroots support not because of its ideology, but because everyday Nigerians felt the government was disconnected from their struggles. Similarly, in 2014 and 2015, the People's Democratic Party rural base eroded as APC politicians leveraged public anger over insecurity and corruption to build a winning coalition. Today, that cycle seems to be repeating. Only now is the APC losing ground. What makes this even more damaging for the ruling party is the timing. We are less than 2 years into the Tinubu administration. Economic narrative have already turned decisively negative. The fuel subsidy removal, naira devaluation, and rising insecurity have combined to create an atmosphere where even loyal party members are openly defecting. And unlike the typical election season defections we've seen in the past, this wave is happening early, which gives the opposition plenty of time to organize, consolidate, and present themselves as credible alternatives before 2027. The ADC's leadership knows this. State Chairman Yohana Shehu didn't just talk about winning in 2027. He framed the defections as the beginning of a grassroots movement for real change, something Nigerians have been promised for years but have yet to see. And why the ADC is not yet a national powerhouse like the PDP or APC, its recent strategy of pairing political mobilization with direct relief effort is gaining traction, especially in rural areas where poverty is biting hardest. The Adamawa state defections could be a turning point, not just for ADC, but for the entire opposition landscape heading into 2027. Hunger is a political force in Nigeria. It drives anger, fuels resentment, and in times like this, it becomes a rallying cry for change. When families can't afford a bag of rice, when youth unemployment hits record highs, and when insecurity makes rural farming unsafe, people begin to question every promises made by those in power. This is where figures like Peter Obi come into the conversation. Why ADC may have struck a chord in Adamawa State. The bigger national momentum for changes still revolve around leaders who have managed to hold onto credibility. Obi's clean image, disciplined public record, and ability to inspire young voters position him as the kind of figure who could unite multiple opposition blocs. PDP reformists, ADC newcomers, and millions of undecided Nigerians into a single force capable of toppling the APC. But that unity will not come by accident. The 2023 election proved that divided opposition equals an APC victory, even when public sentiment is against them. If the ADC, Labour Party, and a faction of the PDP can align under one credible candidate with a clear, people-focused manifestos, the ruling party's rural and urban stronghold could crumble. Adamawa's mass defection is a signal to opposition strategists. Now is the time to start building that coalition. The ruling APC is already on the defensive, but they will not go quietly. Expect a wave of counter-mobilization, promises of infrastructure projects, quick-fix welfare schemes, and even targeted political appointments to calm the unrest. Yet, Nigerians are becoming harder to convince with last-minute handouts. The desperation in the voices of the Adamawa defectors tells us this is no longer about slogans. It's about survival, dignity, and leadership that actually delivers. For Tinubu's government, the Adamawa episode is a warning. The grassroots are restless, and defections that start in one local government can spread like wildfire. For the opposition, it's an opportunity if they are bold enough to seize it. And for the Nigerian people, it's a reminder that their voices, when united, can shake the very foundation of political power. In 2027, the ballot will be more than a vote for a party. It will be a referendum on hunger, on failed promises, and on whether Nigerians are ready to retire the old guard and usher in a leadership that serves, rather than exploit. Adamawa might just be the first crack in the wall. The question now is, will the rest of the country follow?